Hey guys, EBPMAN here, and I wanted to share with you what are the first few things that you should do as soon as you get your LG V30. You're going to get about 10 tips, maybe a little bit more, of the things you should do as soon as you get your phone. So it's been 24 hours since I've had the retail version of the LG V30, and I have to say that it's an absolutely fantastic phone. One of the first things I did before going into any of the tips is I changed the wallpaper because I felt that the wallpaper that LG provided with the phone really didn't do the screen any justice. When I looked at it, it looked pretty bland. It's kind of like pale, almost pastel. And I said, come on, this screen has to look a lot better. So I downloaded some 4K HD wallpapers and threw it on the phone. And as you can see, boy, does this screen pop. So even though it's not a tip, I'd say change your wallpaper immediately so that you can really benefit yourself from the fantastic screen that the LG V30 has. So with that, let's go ahead and start talking about things that you should do immediately to get the best experience out of your V30. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here into settings, and I'm going to give you the first tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into general. We're going to go all the way over here to about phone, and then in about phone we're going to do software update. The reason why this is the very first tip is because as soon as I turned on the phone and I did the software update, guess what? There was an update. So if you want to have the best experience with your V30, make sure that you have the most current software, and all you have to do is do this check for the update. And you'll notice the last time I checked was yesterday. I'll do a check now to make sure that you have the most current software. Mine immediately downloaded some patches and updated my phone. So the next thing that I would recommend is immediately start using a security feature. I typically like using the fingerprint sensor as my way to log into my phone, and that's the first thing that you should do to make sure you have a secure phone. So now to set up your fingerprint sensor, you're going to go into General, Fingerprint, and Security. We're going to then choose Fingerprints, and what we're going to do is hit Next, and we're going to set up a backup to the fingerprint. Pattern or pin, I'm going to choose a actual pin that I'm going to use, and it does give you the option to require a pin when you turn on the phone. I'm going to say no thanks. This is just in case you lose power. Some people may try to reboot your phone, but it will require a pin before it boots on. It's a good security method or process, but I kind of skip that. So I'm going to hit Next, and I'm going to enter my pin. Now, as you're setting up, there's a couple things it's going to ask you to do about the lock screen since you're going to be setting up the security for the first time. You could either say show all notifications, high sensitive only, or hide all notifications. I'm going to leave it with high sensitive only. I'm going to say OK. Now, the next part is to scan your fingerprint. Now, one thing you have to do when scanning your fingerprint is try to get as many impressions as you can. And what I tend to do is I rotate the phone or rotate my hand, because when I grab the phone, I'm never going to grab it in the same way. So I want to make sure that the fingerprint gets enough samples. So I'm going to take it off the stand for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my finger right here on the fingerprint sensor. And you'll notice as soon as I do it, it starts taking an impression. You can notice that I'm actually rotating the phone as I'm doing it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm looking to have a different impression. And you notice that it's telling me right here, please place your phone in a different position. So it's asking me to actually do that rotation. So I did that rotation, and sometimes what I'll do is I even add two fingers to it, but it's the same finger with a, just rotated differently. So I'm going to hit OK. And there's my fingerprint. Now, the other thing that you could do when you're doing this is obviously go through the registration process for more, but what you could do is also name that fingerprint so that if there is one of your fingerprints that's not opening up the phone correctly, you know which one it is. So I'm going to say index right, and since that's my right index finger, and I'm now done. Now that that's been set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if my fingerprint will work. I'll put my finger on it, and it worked perfectly. Very, very, very fast. I would just rotate to make sure that you're getting both this part of your finger, the bottom part of your finger, the top of your finger, and your sides so that you have accurate fingerprint scans. Now, the next thing I would personalize on the phone is going to be this area here. Now, this hasn't changed, right? So you could do a single swipe to get your toggles. You could do a double swipe, 2 fingers to get it fully down, or you can do swipe, swipe to get it down. Now, first thing, there's things that I don't need at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit, and once I can edit, I can reorganize my screen. So for example, I need my flashlight. My flashlight is important, so I want it at the top. This capture I'm not going to use, so I'll just put it over here. Don't really need it. And I'll look at what else do I really need. So I got my Bluetooth is there. That's fine. Let's see, is there anything that I'd like to move over here? There's data saver, comfort view. No, I think I'm good. So I've basically chose I want my Wi-Fi, I want my flashlight, Wi-Fi calling, airplane mode to be on top, and there's other ones that are here at the bottom. And that's another tip. Watch this area, because as you install applications, you will get additional toggles. Like one, for example, that will show up is if you install VPN, there's going to be a VPN toggle. So always come back and visit this to see what's there. So I'm going to hit check, and you'll notice now that it's in the order that I wanted. Now I'll test the flashlight. Flashlight works. It's giving me the little flashlight notification, so that's good. Some of these, if you press and hold, have multiple functions. So as you can see, when you're looking at these toggles, you can always press and hold and something will come up. Right? So again, nice tip on organizing that area. Now the other thing I wanted to share with you is how do you get an always on display? Notice how I have a display here, my phone is on, and this is something that if you see a Samsung user, they've been having this as well as other phones are sharing to launch this always on, but by default it's off. So let me show you how you turn on your always on display. Alright, so to get this to work, we're going to go into settings, and we're going to actually go through a couple tips here. We're going to go into display. Lots of stuff that we can play with. So first thing that I'm going to do is scroll down, and we're going to look for always on display. So you'll enable that, and once you do have the ability to personalize this even further. You could even make it brighter if you'd like. So I can turn this on, and what will happen is it will pop more. Right now it's a little opaque. We'll see how that looks like in a second. But what you can do is determine also at night, this may be bothersome for some, so you can actually have a little schedule for that. And then you could also modify the way it looks. So for example, here we have various settings that you can go with. You can go with this color treatment, and then you can personalize it. You can go with something like this that you have on the bottom. Again, you can really change this thing up if you like to get a better experience around that display. Now the other thing I turn on while you're under display, I'm going to go into the lock screen, and we're going to have a very detailed, I'd say, review of all the features that you'll want to work with. But I'm just going to show you the ones that I just do really quick. First thing I like is I like turning on the animation. And I'll just allow that. What this will do is if it's rainy outside, you'll see raindrops coming up on your lock screen, which I think is pretty cool. And it's just a nice effect. But more importantly, here you have contact information if your phone is lost. So what you could do is in this area, you can type in who to contact as an alternate contact, an email address, something that has your name. I have EBPMAN Tech Reviews in this area, and when your screen gets locked, it is going to show up on your lock screen in this area here. So again, that's something that you may want to turn on. Now once you've enabled your lock screen, another tip is that you could actually have other things here. Notice how you can turn on Wi-Fi, you can manipulate the volume, turn on your flashlight without even having to unlock your phone, simply by swiping. You have media access control. So this little area is very interactive even though the phone is off. Now still in this lock screen area, another thing that I like turning on is the power key locks instantly. I do this from a security perspective. I like making sure that when I lock my phone it is, or turn it off, that it is locked. So if you power it off, it will lock, and it will require your fingerprint to unlock it again. So that's another neat feature that you can turn on. Now still under the display area, another thing that I change is my buttons. I use a lot of different phones, and I really like the back button to be here, home button here, and the multitasking there, but by default it's flipped. So if you go into the home touch area, here you can change the way the buttons are set up. So you can manipulate this simply by dragging and changing the order, and it happens in real time. If you notice this here on the bottom, as soon as I move it over, it changes as well. So this is how you can reorganize things. Now you could change some of the icons completely by the things that you see here and replace them if you want as well. Now the next tip still in display has to do with font size, and the screen resolution on this is a higher resolution, so you may notice that the fonts may be a little bit smaller. So what you could do is just change those. So go from a medium, so this is what a medium looks like and that's the default, to small, right, if that's what you'd like, or you could go to an extra large, and what it's going to do is just make it easier to read. And again, this is all about personalizing it to your taste. Now still not leaving display, the other thing I would do is I would turn on Comfort View. And Comfort View adds a blue light filter that will make things easier to read. So I'm turning it on, I'm going to turn it off so you can see that on camera. It changes. So there's a tint that is added. What this does is at night, you won't be the person that's lighting up the theater or wherever you are, and if you're in the bedroom just reading your phone and the lights are off. What it does is it also helps with your ability to go to sleep. And if you've ever turned on the phone and it's kind of blinding, this comfort view helps really negate that. Now, over here you'll notice that there's a schedule. What I do is I use this schedule when I'm using comfort view to say at what time of day do I want it to turn on. So this happens automatic for me without me having to do anything to the phone. So I would turn that on, and then what you can do is you can adjust it by using this slider to say how much tint do you want? How comfortable do you want to be in order to do this? Now, in many cases, some folks have even gone to the point where they installed a third-party app to do this. You don't have to do that anymore. Now, the other thing you can do is you can turn things black and white. This is a tip too. Sometimes if you're low on battery, I'll turn this on because it extends the battery when you don't have that color. So just something to know. Now, one other change that you can make to help with the larger resolution is working with display size. So this is what the normal icons look like, but what you can do is actually make them larger. So again, depending on how your experience is with the phone, you could either make it bigger or you can make them smaller, like we'll make them right there, so that you can have more icons on the screen. Regardless of what your needs are, you can really adjust the screen to suit your needs. Now here's another neat tip also. This is really cool. You notice how you have this thing right here? It almost looks like Samsung's Edge display. Well, when you tap it, what you get, and let's bring this out. You get this little menu that comes up. These are shortcuts, and as you swipe, there's a lot of different shortcuts that you can use on the side. This could be your contacts. This could be various settings. So if you go into the settings area, these are all the things you can have. You can turn on the screen capture, music player. You can have quick contacts on here on this floating bar. So let me show you how you turn on the floating bar so you can get access to the little floating bar that you can have anywhere on your screen. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to go into general, and then I'm going to come down here to floating bar. You'll see I have that on. Once you go into it, you'll be enabling these features, and then you'll have that little bar, as you can see right there. It doesn't really bother. It's nice there, and you can access a series of things. Now, as you work on shortcuts, let me show you what else you can do. You can actually modify these, and you could add more. So by clicking on that plus sign, you can choose any app that's on the phone to be part of that floating bar. Now, there are times that you may have a misbehaving app or you're just doing a lot on your phone and your phone slows down. Well, LG has a optimizer. I'm going to tap this right here. And what it's doing is it's optimizing your phone. I did a double tap in that case, but once you do a single tap, it just optimizes. This optimization is going to go through looking at your storage, looking at your memory. You can really look at various things to just get things to speed up. But this shortcut right here, when you tap it, if your phone is going slow, it will clear out your memory and make things snappy again. How do you get it? Let me show you. So all you have to do is press and hold on the home screen, and then what you're going to do is go into widgets. And as you go into widgets, you'll see smart cleaning. So it's right there. All you'll do is press and hold, drag it where you want it on the screen, and now you have that optimization feature that's going to keep your phone running snappy. Now, the other thing that may be driving some of you nuts is that you'll notice that there's no app drawer. The app drawer is where you would swipe down in some phones, or what you would do is have a little button on the side that you would open up where you get all your apps. Everything now on this phone is on screen. So if you're one of those that would like to go back to that, you could actually press and hold on the screen, go into home screen settings, and here you can select your home type. So you can say, I want a home and the app drawer. I could just go with home as you have it right now, so it's going to have a combination of both. And that's what you find in like Samsung, for example. So let's go ahead and choose that for a second so you see what's going. So now things have changed a little bit, right? You notice I have the center button. So now with the center button, I have all my apps here. But I also have apps here. So this gives you the ability to tuck some things away. So if you'd like to have that app home setting option, all you have to do is, again, press home here, go into home screen settings, and then you do your home type. I'm going to go back to the home function, and you'll notice it goes back to how it was again with the camera in the center, and then all my apps are here. I don't have a lot of apps, but if you do install a lot, it's a great feature to use. The next thing that I'm going to show you has to do with, again, still with personalization to make the phone yours. So we're going to go into home screen settings, and here what you can do is work with your grid. Now your grid is about how many icons are on the screen, and you can have a 5x5, a 4x5, or 4x4. Right now it's in the maximum, so you can have 5 rows by 5 icons. So that's going across and down. You can make it smaller or you can vary it, and that's just going to change the way your experience is on the screen. So that may be something that you may want to do as well. All right, guys, so that's it. That's all you have to do to personalize your phone. At least those are the first tips that I would personalize. Now, over the next couple days, I'm going to have a full review of more tips and tricks, very in-depth, detailed with indexing so that you can jump to the tip that you're looking for. But if I was you, make those changes and you're going to enjoy your phone even more.